This video series is going to be on fabricating a welding cart for our welding equipment here in the shop. You'll see my new AHP Alpha TIG 200, and then over here you see the argon bottle. We also have Chicago Electric Harbor Freight MiG 170, 175 I think it is, and it has its own C25 mixed gas bottle for it. And then we also have our small Hobart Air Force C50CI plasma cutter. So what I'm thinking is, let's just go ahead and build one cart that'll handle all of it. So that's what we're going to do in this series. Regretfully or not, you're also going to watch me learn how to TIG weld, in particular TIG weld aluminum. We will do just, we did just a small amount of steel. TIG welded the little cord rack for the bottles there. And yeah, it's not much to that. So anyway, so we're going to move on. Let's talk about the design of this particular thing, and then we'll get started on fabrication. So I decided to fabricate a welding cart. I kind of set some criteria in my mind for what I was aiming for. First one is it needed to hold all three machines. Need to physically hold them, and also wanted it to have an integrated electrical system. In other words, would have one cord run all three pieces of equipment. Before we even get started, be clear, this one cord is not going to run all three pieces of equipment simultaneously, but individually the cord will run those. I have limited availability for 220, 240 single phase in my garage, in my shop, and so use a dryer plug. So we need to be able to, basically plug in one plug and have availability for all three machines. And so that's one of the criteria. Again, holding all three machines is part of the criteria. Also wanted to have storage. We wanted to have a reasonable amount of storage. A lot of consumables, welding wire, welding rods, gloves, things that are very specific to welding that I didn't want to have to find a separate storage for. So one of the requirements is that we have storage. I'll show you that storage in just a minute. Then one of the other ones need to be portable, so that defined it's going to have wheels and a handle and all those goodies. Also wanted it to be reasonably lightweight if possible. That defined the fact that we're going to make it out of aluminum. That and the fact that we were getting an AC/DC welder, great opportunity. So went ahead and defined it designed it out of aluminum. The aluminum is designed out of is 1 inch. You can probably see it here. It's 1 inch square tube and 1/8 inch thick wall. You can kind of see a piece here. It's not very cleaned out. You can see the overcut from the excess material from the cut. But anyway, 1 inch thick wall, 1/8 inch thick, 1 inch square tube. And so that's what we're using for the material, for the frame material. And then we've got some 1/8 inch aluminum plate, which you can see a little here and there. There's a piece over here. It's cut. Piece back here that's cut, and so that's what we're going to use for that. Also, because of the welders we're using, it needed to hold two bottles of gas. You see the large bottle of argon there, but we've also got a smaller bottle. It's called a S bottle, S series bottle of the C25 mix. So it needed to hold both bottles comfortably, and then it also needed to have reasonable cord storage. One of the worst things about welding is all the excess cords. So what I've done is the way it's going to set out or lay out, and we can just look at this frame the way it's sitting here. This section down here on the end is going to be for bottles. You'll see there's a cross piece that I'm just tacking up the frame now, but you can see there's a cross piece there, and that's just to strengthen up the end there where the two bottles are going to sit. And there'll be two large 10-inch wheels, pneumatic wheels under there. And as we go down, on this end of the welding cart is where our Harbor Freight MiG machine is going to be. And the reason is that that door on the side opens this way. So we didn't want it to open up against the bottle, so it defined it needed to be on this end. So we're going to have the MiG, the plasma cutter, and then the TIG on this end. And so anyway, we've got the two bottles. We've got a couple of cross supports still to put in it, and they're sitting right here. So we've got these two cross supports that we still need to put in and tack them in. And then we're going to begin the weld out on this bottom frame. Make sure everything's true and square. Use some miter type clamps to clamp the ends off, and we're ready to get started. Like I said, we need cord space. We need cord management. So I put some JHooks, I call them, but I put some hangers. They're going to be down here on this end, just below the handle, which will take care of the cords for the TIG, which will be on this end. It'll also take care of the main power cord. I think it's a 50-foot cord, so we'll take care of that on one of those hooks there. And then on the other end, not a heck of a lot of space for a bunch of hangers because of the storage solutions that we're going to include. And so built these JHook hangers that go on the bottles we bought, on the cylinders we built two, and they're just 1/4-inch steel rod. We built in a circle so that it lays down over the valve, and then it's just got 3 JHooks on it. So that'll give us a fair amount of hanging space there as well. So we'll have 3 hooks on this end. Then we'll have the bottle hooks on the cylinders, the cylinder hooks available, and so we should have plenty of room for that. I have prefabbed a few pieces as part of my crash course in how to make aluminum, how to TIG aluminum, excuse me. Prefabricated JHooks, you see right there. And these are going to hang from, I'll be facing this way, but they'll be welded on to the top frame, and so there'll be 3 of those 3 JHooks here. Now you will notice that I have sanded them, ground off the excess aluminum weld. You can probably imagine why. Anyway, we don't have to go into why. It didn't look real good. And then on this end, where our cylinders are going to be, we've got 2 pieces that look like this. And these 2 pieces, there'll be a cylinder that sits in this space and a cylinder that sits in this space. Our chains will secure here. Well, they'll be secured here, and they'll wrap around and hook here and hook here on the opposite side. And so these are going to be, one of them will be here near the bottom, and the other one will be up here near the top of the cart. So we'll have 2 chains per bottle holding them in place, and yeah, be nice and safe. So we've got these prefabricated, and they're ready to go. And those will be welded on once the cart's mostly packed up. So that's generally the design. We'll show you as we go along. Let me show you the storage that we plan to put on this thing to help us with all our consumables, welding consumables. Well, here's our storage solutions. There's actually 2 of these. They're stacked on top of one another. You can see there, they're 2 separate units. And they're going to sit on top of the frame that you saw there, on top of the plate that covers that frame that you just saw. And then the top frame will come just above that, so it'll be able to slide in. We'll use some self-tapping sheet metal type screws. We'll screw them into the cart so they'll stay. With the length of the cart the way it is, there's just going to be 10 or so inches, I think it is, in between these 2 cabinets, which will give us a little bit more storage, but a little bit of shelf space, but not a lot. This is our main storage. This gives us a chance to store welding wire, wire brushes, basically welding specific tools. Here's some MIG wire, so those kind of things will be stored in these 2 cabinets. They are lockable. I don't think it's going to be terribly necessary. And we also have fabricated these things, which are going to be our TIG rod holders. TIG rod's 36 inches long generally, and so we've got 5 TIG rod holders right now. We only have 4 kinds of TIG rod, but we'll have more. May even need to add more than 5. But these little guys are going to go through the top of the top plate, and they're going to rest on the bottom. And there's going to be there's a slit through that hole, and they'll be behind the MIG. There's plenty of room behind the MIG. MIG's small relative to the TIG machine, so it'll actually be right about even with the top of the MIG, so you can readily reach back and grab a TIG rod without any problem. So, and the other intention is that these will you'll be able to take these out. And so if you're taking something to the field to weld, you know, I've got to go to somebody's house and weld, and I just need to take the machine, then all I've got to do is grab the right TIG rod container. So these are storage solutions for the cart. So I think those are going to work out well. Pretty excited about getting this thing done. Like I said, this is my first experience at TIG welding, and it's my first experience at TIG welding aluminum on to boot, which is a bit trickier than most metals, I think. And so we'll see how it goes. It's a little bit slow, but we'll get there. So let's go ahead and get started and see if we can, as Chucky 2009 would say, fabricable something together that looks kind of like a welding cart. Well, we've welded out one side. Just this is going to be the top side. This is where the plate's going to lay, and so we went ahead and ground these flush so that we get good, you know, so that the plate would lie on the aluminum bars. I did add in, you can see in this corner over here, I did add in a little L piece, and the intention of that L piece is that's what our wheel will bolt to. So the wheels up by the handle are going to be these swivel wheels, and they'll bolt through the frame, making use of that little L back there that's forms a square for holding that. And then also I just for my own edification, I clamped on one of the 10-inch pneumatic wheels. It's probably going to be a little further back. We want to make sure that the drawers will be free to open, so it's going to be probably just a bit further back than it is, but that's a bolt-on design. So this is just a steel bracket that I welded up, and then I welded a bolt through it, 5/8 inch bolt, and I cut that bolt off. So that's it for now, and let's keep moving forward. Alright, so you can see we're coming along. I finished the bottom frame. I believe that's where I left off. And so we finished the bottom frame, and then we put the sheet of 1/8 inch aluminum on it, and we basically stitch welded it at each corner, a couple places across the middle, and it's not going anywhere. Went ahead and set the storage cabinets up on it, just for kind of reference sake, just to show myself at least perspective on what these things are going to look like. And yeah, that's pretty much it right there. There's going to be a few inches in between them. I will stick some material in there if we need to, but it's not really intended for storage. Primarily the cabinets are the storage. As I look at this thing, I'm thinking I'm going to, when I get done, originally I was going to leave it aluminum. I think I'm going to go ahead and paint it black, just to give it some consistent look. I guess murder it out, as they say. Anyway, so I did go ahead and put the wheels on. I briefly showed you the wheels are basically an angle type plate welded into an angle configuration. Then there's a hole drilled in. There's a 5/8 bolt going through the middle, and then I just cut them to lengths, drilled them, put a cotter pin washer on each side, that kind of thing. They work wonderful. On the front ones, those are just I call them wobble casters, steerable casters, and those are just mounted on. You saw the bracing we put under there for them, and those are mounted on with some self-tapping, kind of pretty large self-tapping bolts. If we need to put true bolts in them later, we will, but right now self-tapping sheet metal screws, large ones, seem to work fine for it. I did countersink the bolts that hold the rear wheels on. I have trouble showing you here, but the rear wheel bracing, there's a couple of 2 bolts right there, 5/16 bolts, panhead or countersink type bolts, and I countersunk the material there, so they're below or flush with the surface. So happy with that. So now it's time to start the top frame, and we get the top frame going, then this thing will start looking proper like a cart. But hey, it's a good start. Get back to you.